Failure is an important part of the process of photography, and we don't let ourselves do it enough. If that's not enough in one video, we are also shooting woodland, waterfalls and bluebells.
Hello, good morning everybody and welcome back to the channel. I'm going to a location today that I came to, I don't know, maybe 12, 18 months ago. Anyway, I've been here before. And I did bring you with me on one of those trips. If I can find the pictures when I originally took them and the trip, I might put some of them up and share them with you, because it's relevant to today's video. So on this trip up to this location last time, I wasn't really totally happy with the images that I took. I can't remember what the reason was. I think it's a combination of to do with sort of like the state of my mind at the time. I just wasn't feeling the love for the photography that day, and it might also have been something to do with the weather conditions and the way things are. And that brings us nicely into today's video really, because although those images could be considered to be failures, in fact that trip could be considered to be a complete failure, I don't really want to view it that way. And I try and avoid that with all my photography, because failure, bit bumpy ground, because failure actually has its good points. And one of the things I think we don't do in photography is fail enough. I think we miss many opportunities because we're afraid to fail, afraid to look at things slightly differently. And if we start looking at our failures in a different way, then just maybe our photography will improve as a result of it. Anyway, I've got to the first location that I want to photograph, so I'm gonna start getting set up and have a look at that. Take an opportunity to have a nice cup of coffee, let Ruby have a bit of play in the water, but she loves that. And I'll join you guys in a minute. I've got to get down this bank because it's a little bit awkward, a little bit funny. There we go. That's better. Sorry about that. Right, so I'm going to get set up and with a bit of luck, turn this next image into a bit less of a failure than last time. And I'll kind of explain to you a bit more about that in a minute, but I think you're going to like this one. Before I put the camera on the tripod, I was trying to work out with this image whether I wanted to do a 5:4 sort of like vertical crop or a square, but now I've actually put the camera on the tripod and zoomed into the focal length that I want, which is about 120 mil. Then I'm kind of thinking now that actually I might just shoot it full frame and be done with it. Or maybe I'll shoot several versions and decide what it is. What I'm looking at is a cascade running down through this river, and I've got a few rocks in the foreground. I'm just going to include one of those, I think, and I might even go in a bit closer. I'm going to try a few different things. I'm probably going to try a polarising filter in a minute just to see if that'll take some of the glare off the water. Although looking at the angle of the sun and the light, I don't think it's going to have much impact. So we might have to exposure bracket and maybe do an exposure blend in the final editing stage. That brings me back to the subject of failure really, and why failure is good in photography. It's by doing these things and learning and then trying and doing them in different ways that we improve our skills. So I'm going to do a little bit more fuddling around, and when I've done that and had a bit of coffee, I think I'll explain to you what my final solution was, because I really don't know what it's going to be yet. Well, you're looking at one very, very happy photographer. It's certainly paid to come back to this location and shoot this again. I don't know if it's the lighting conditions that I've got today that are that much better, or maybe I'm just thinking differently, I don't know. But this photograph, looking at the back of the camera, has worked out really, really well. I'm absolutely delighted. Now maybe it was a different time of year that I came last time, I don't know. but the way that the polarizing filters work is absolutely fantastic. And I'm shooting a bit of viewfinder video so I can actually show you what that does. So if you look at the screen now and you look at those highlights and see how bright they are, and they're a little bit distracting and they sort of lose some of the detail, if I just rotate that polarizing filter around, look how it calms everything down. Can you see that? How it just takes that down. And that's what I'm on about. That's how I wanted the composition to work. That's what was important. Those highlights in the bottom right hand corner of the frame, I want those just to take your eye through and up into that waterfall, almost like a curve going from bottom right to top left. And it works really, really well, and that's how I want it to work. And I think the water around it and the dark background is really going to set it off. What's important is controlling those highlights, not completely destroying them. I see it so often in landscape photography and waterfall and woodland scenes and things like this, where people try and reduce the highlights, but what they actually do is switch them off completely. Well, that's just not natural. In the real world, we get reflections, we get hot spots on water that do reflect light, and if you kill that entirely, you take all the life out of your image. But having too much of it, it becomes uncontrollable, and then you can't get the exposures correct and the images feel wrong. I've got a few little tweaks to make to the composition, just a little bit of zooming in, zooming out, taking some distracting details out of the left and right hand sides of the frame, and I might need to do a little bit of focus stacking just to sort of get that bottom rock nice and sharp, because I think it's going to be important that it is. But we'll see how it goes. So I'm going to do that now, and then have a cup of coffee and show you the final picture. So I hope you enjoy this one.
This photograph turned out better than I expected. The earthy colour palette and close crop really focus in on what's important to me in the scene. Using the polarizer filter worked a treat and made post-processing easy.
So I hope you enjoyed looking at that last picture as much as I enjoyed taking it. I guess the other thing that I want to talk about today as well is the fact that man is a social animal, and we've got this desire to be accepted as part of a group, as part of a community. And I think photographers are no different. We want our images to be accepted, our work to be noticed, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That's exactly how it should be. But I think social media takes it to an extreme and distorts that view, and it distorts it so much that it can become detrimental to our growth. The problem with social media is that people only post the images which they think are going to do really well, which other people are going to like. So with the billions and billions of pictures going out, when you look at your own files, you're comparing it to images that are people's best work. You're not seeing the whole story, the whole picture. And although a lot of us accept that and we're happy to assume that not everybody takes great images, when we post our own, what we believe are fantastic pictures, images that we're proud of, and they don't do well, we're disappointed. It's not important, it's not your story, it's somebody else's preference that you're dealing with there. Keep doing what you enjoy. I think I've found my next composition. I was hoping to take a few varied images and maybe get away from the water and do something else, but I've just seen a beautiful little backlit scene underneath a tree which I really like, so I think I'm probably going to stop where I am and take this picture, but we'll see how it goes. You never know. Anyway, time for me to stop rambling on and start looking at producing some images. I'll catch you in a minute. The challenge with this photograph really was the composition. Trying to get the right camera height so that I could get the tree in the top. Those dark branches coming in sort of create the top frame of the image, but right above it is a very bright patch of sky, and I could have done without that, but I think I've nailed it anyway. The idea with this picture is that underneath those dark trees in the foreground, which you'll be able to see on the screen. Sorry, in the top of the frame that you can see on the screen, should I say. There's another tree coming out from the left-hand bank, and it was backlit and it was glowing quite nicely, but unfortunately I think I've left it a little bit late and the best of that lighting's gone. But I've attempted to take it anyway, and I'll show you the picture regardless of how it comes out. Because after all, it's all about sharing our failures and learning, isn't it? And if that is the case, then the learning point from this photograph is I can go back and take another one. But I will share it with you. I was a little bit worried about the foreground underneath the tree and whether or not that would be too messy and too distracting. So I've put the polarising filter on again, put a neutral density filter on because it's much brighter, so I could smooth out that water and hopefully make that blend in a little bit. Not entirely sure on the crop yet. I've shot it full frame, but I'm kind of thinking maybe it's going to end up as a 16:9 crop. We're taking a fair bit of sensor real estate off the bottom of the frame in the final picture. But we'll see, and you'll be able to see that when I show you the final image. So it's okay. It's not too bad. I haven't got huge high hopes for the image. I've put it together. Like I say, you know, I'll put the final settings up on the screen and let you have a look at it. Please do let me know what you think about it in the comments.
This photograph is slowly growing on me. Originally I was not sure if it achieved what I wanted. Does that central tree stand out enough? Is the background too similar? However, I am captivated by the luminosity of the backlit greens. It gets stronger every time I look at it. Is this photograph a portfolio contender?
One of the things that I used to fail at all the time, or I used to perceive that I would fail at all the time, was photographing bluebells. Didn't seem to matter what I did. I never liked my own bluebell pictures, even if they were identical to other people's, because I think that's where we all start learning our photography, isn't it? We look at what other people are doing and see if we can mimic what they're doing and learn from it, and then we adapt and start looking at our own images. But yeah, I always used to struggle, and in fact I still struggle. So I'm going to make a commitment to you. I've been shooting waterfalls, been find a scene with some bluebells in it to photograph. I have taken some pictures of bluebells that I've liked. I've come to realise that all those photographs that went before, which maybe weren't so successful, were very important because they're part of your journey. Every image that you take, every photograph you produce is important. It's a step along your own progression as a photographer. It's something that makes you who you are. It's something that provides you with enjoyment, if nothing else, and from it you develop as a photographer. So don't dismiss any of your photographs. You know, they all have a lot of value, and we need to bear that in mind when we're doing our photography, and realise that, hey, you know, maybe it didn't work out this time, but maybe next time it'll be the best image that I've ever taken. I found something that I like, something I can isolate, and it's going to be basically a very simple photograph. I'm kind of moving backwards and forwards. I hope it's not too annoying, so I can and line it up for the main camera. Time for me to get this photograph done for you. Well, this is working out rather well, actually. I don't know what final image I'm going to show you because the lighting's changing all the time. It's going from really quite contrasty to cloudy, and that's really creating some nice different lighting conditions for me. So it's a bit difficult to even say what the exposure is going to be. You'll see it when it comes up on the final image. I think it might be one of the less contrasty images that I like. At the moment I'm shooting at f5.6 and I'm just bracketing using the shutter speed, but I really quite like it. I'm going to put some video up on the screen for you so I can explain the composition and what I've done. Let me do that and I'll bring you in a bit closer so you can see what I'm talking about. So I'm shooting at about 300mm, f5.6 on the aperture, and then bracketing using the shutter speed, because I just want to get a range of different exposures. And I think it's going to be one of the darker images that I actually show you in the final picture, but I'll put those settings up for you. So if this works out well today, then it's come out of loads and loads of failed attempts at shooting bluebells in the past, and just trying something different each time and persevering and not looking at other people's images on social media, not comparing myself against those, not worrying about the failures. I'll put this picture up and see what you think. Hopefully you'll like it. If you think it can be improved in any way, please put some comments below, because we should learn from each other's experience as well, so feel free to do that. Okay, have a look at this, tell me what you think.
There's nothing to shout home about in this photograph, but it hits all the elements I was trying to bring out. Simplicity with a clean background, it's also nicely lit. A bit of digital pruning tidied up the image. I feel the flower though could be a little bit sharper. Was 1/15 of a second enough? Or is it time to look at lens calibration?
Once again guys, thank you for watching the video. I hope you found it useful. I hope you found it enjoyable. I certainly enjoyed being out here this morning shooting and filming. There's a couple of things I want to ask you to do for me. If you've made it to this part of the video already, then if you would like more of this content, if you'd like to get a little bit more involved in the channel, then please let me know, because I've got a few ideas where we can be a little bit more interactive. You know, I've talked about social media and how we don't share our failures and various things. And I'm just wondering if there's an opportunity, if I was to set up a members section, that we actually start conversing a little bit more and having some more answer sessions and questions, and maybe some limited sort of live screenings where you can chat and ask me questions, and maybe we can set up some you know, sort of private groups which only members have access to, where we can share our images freely in a safe environment where we all know we're coming from the same sort of page, so to speak, and want to develop our photography. So if you're interested in that, let me know. The other thing I want you to do, and this is more of an immediate thing, I want you to go and look at your archives. I want you to go and look at the images that you took when you first started photography. I want you to look at the images that you took 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever that is. And I bet amongst a lot of those photographs that you took back then, you will consider to be failures. At the time, they weren't. They were the best images you'd ever taken, and you were immensely proud of them. The point is that we all develop, we all improve, our styles change, what we like, don't like changes as well. And we will evolve all the time. No photography, no image, no photo trip is a failure. It's a learning opportunity, an opportunity to get out, to develop yourself more as a photographer, as an artist, and most of all, enjoy yourself. If you've enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're not already a subscriber of the channel and you want to see more content, please subscribe and watch a few more videos while you're around. And don't be afraid to share it with your friends as well. Share the channel on social media. Tell everybody about it, and hopefully we can build up a big following, and I can put together even more content to help you develop as photographers, and at the same time develop my own photography as well. That's all for now. I'll see you in the next video.